You ever had a landlord do something that didn't seem legal? Have you ever wondered if you have any rights as a renter? Well, you do, but it's not always clear what they are. That's why Solid Grounds Tenant Services offers free online renters webinars 3 times a month. Just go to solid-ground.org/RAR to learn more. This is a free opportunity to learn more about your rights as a renter. Again, just go to solid-ground.org/RAR.
What's going on, world? It's your boy OG Mambo
and your guy D Money. Join us along with Pint Size Patron and ID Yourself
here on Fresh Juice at Rainier Avenue Radio
every Wednesday hump day from 9 to 11 Pacific.
Get exclusive interviews from your favorite artists, all the hottest music, and updates on what we got going on in the world.
That's every Wednesday, 9 to 11 p.m. on Seattle's Rainier Avenue Radio.
Women are not an homogenous group.
We face discrimination differently depending on factors such as ethnicity, age, socioeconomic status, and more.
Rainier Avenue Radio is proud to amplify women's voices.
They are the experts of their own lives, initiating conversations within their community about challenges they face, the solutions they're working on, and the opportunities they see.
Please join us this Sunday from 2 to 5 for Women's Voices on Air. We know our challenges. We are the experts of our lives.
We are master multitaskers, prioritizing our family, friends, and our faith above our own needs.
Our needs and voices are too often overlooked.
Please join us this Sunday from 2 to 5 p.m. for Women's Voices on Air.
We tell our stories in our own way.
Hey, Seattle, here are some storage tips to love food, stop waste. Onions make potatoes sprout faster. Keep onions away from potatoes. Ripe bananas give off a gas that makes the fruit around them ripen faster. Store bananas away from other fruits. 40% of food in the U.S. goes uneaten. Save money, save food, save the planet. Visit Seattle Public Utilities for more tips.
Here with the Rainier Avenue Radio traffic update. You can listen to us in your car 24/7 anytime by downloading the free TuneIn app. Once you do, search Rainier Avenue Radio. And remember, do not curse out your fellow drivers. This has been your Rainier Avenue Radio traffic update.
7 o'clock on the dot. You're in your sports spot. Oh, yeah. It's 7 o'clock. Hello, everyone. Welcome to LidLine Sports right here on the Rainier Avenue Radio. I am Pep. And my man O is here. What's up, O? What's up? Oh, I see you, but I don't hear you. What's happening, O? Uh-oh. That is live radio, folks. What's going on right here on Rainier Avenue Radio.world. As I said before, I'm your boy Pep. And oh, are you with us?
I am here now. I don't know what the heck just happened at all.
It's all right, man. We persevere. What's going on, sir? Did you have a good weekend?
Oh, man. Had a pretty good weekend. West Seattle. We had a showcase in Bellevue College. Kids got to get in front of some college coaches and play some hoop. We didn't do very well in the wins, but there was definitely improvement. Huh?
I said it's okay. It's July.
Yeah.
Well, June.
Yeah,
it was still June.
Me and Coach Fred just trying to just get an understanding of the players are a very young team. They lost a lot of players last year. But there's been strides from the end of May to now. It's leaps and bounds, and we like to think that we're further than what we thought we would have been. So just to get those guys, get them together and hopefully get them in the gym for the next few months. I think we're going to be all right come November.
Oh, that's good.
How's your weekend, Pat?
Oh, mine was pretty good. Went to a car show on Saturday, and some of you that are friends with me on Facebook might have seen some of the pictures. Saw a movie, went to see Quiet Place day one. That was really good.
Okay.
So, if you're into movies, I encourage you to go see that one because I really enjoyed it. So, yeah. Do you like going to the movies, though?
Yeah, I love going to movies. As for me, I'm such an old school movie guy that it's been so hard to find a good movie to go watch in theaters. Like, I feel like maybe 8 out of 10 times at the last movie, 8 out of 10 times last time I went to go to a movie theater, I fell asleep in the movies because these movie theaters are becoming way too comfortable, man. Like these chairs, the reclining back, they're darker. So I get way too comfortable. But the last movie I did go see was Bad Boys 3 with my girl, and that was a really good movie. So, she's a big movie nut, so I'm sure I can see myself getting back and going more into the movie theaters.
Yeah, so we belong to Regal Unlimited. So, we go, 2 or 3 times a month if we can. So it's worth it for us because we like to go. And, whatever big movie's coming out, 9 times out of 10, one of us, if not both of us, will go see it. So,
nice.
I enjoy it. So, well, the NBA finals are done, and we talked about that last week. Boston's won. NHL finals is done. Florida persevered and took care of Edmonton 4-3, even though blowing a 3-0 lead was pretty precarious. They got that done. So the NHL had their draft the other day. I really can't get into too deep to it because I don't know much of the players, to be honest. So I'm not going to even try and fake talk on that one.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
Yeah, and then so the NBA also had their draft last week, and now we are heavily into NBA free agency and trades. And I know you are up on those because you are the NBA professor, guru, teacher, whatever. You're the man, right?
Appreciate that, Pep. Something like that.
Yeah. So fill us in. What's happening? What's happening with Clay and PG and
I mean, even before I know, you mentioned the NBA draft. Didn't really get to speak too much on that last week. It was as people would like to say, talent-wise, was a down draft. Zachary Sasser went number 1 to the Atlanta Hawks, and a lot of people, floated around with him was, not very much production from where he was playing at professionally before coming into the NBA. Alex Sarr was the name who was probably supposed to go number 1. He went number 2 to the Wizards.
I heard he can't shoot. Is that true? I don't know much about him. Yeah.
So he's as what people like to call now a unicorn basketball player, the 7-footer, 6'11" guys that can dribble, play make, do a little bit of everything. And he is an athlete, not really much a shooter. But I was hearing, Pep, the reason why that he failed at 2 was the Atlanta Hawks wanted to work him out, but him and his agent.
He didn't want to go. They made that clear.
Yeah. And, he wants the ball in his hands. And, I can't be mad at, him wanting to, develop in a different way. And, we see what's going on with Atlanta. Atlanta traded DeJounte Murray to the New Orleans Pelicans. And then we don't know what's going on with Trae Young, too. So, I'm not mad at that, but Reece Shepherd, Stephen Castle, and Ron Holland, Houston, San Antonio, Detroit, round out the top 5. But then, of course, what was the big topic and what everybody was waiting for in this NBA draft was day 2. Day 2 was the second round of the NBA, the first time they've ever done that. A lot of people was wondering why they do that.
Was that for him?
Let's be honest. LeBron James Sr., arguably the best player to ever play the NBA. His son was in the draft, Bronny James. We know about all the hoopla and media surrounding this opportunity right here of having the first father-son to be on the same NBA team. And to make it even more special, he was drafted to the LA Lakers at number 55. To the LA Lakers. And, it created, some media scrutiny, which we knew what was going to come of it. the word nepotism came up, and about being able to help your own, and how did Bronny have a leeway because his dad is LeBron James, and the answer is, yes. And then the questions I had was, if LeBron James Jr. Was the same basketball player, same resume, without the name, would he have gotten drafted? I don't know if that would have possibly happened. I do think the kid does have very high potential in the sense of being a high caliber role player, in my opinion, Pep. I think the IQ is there. I think he has all the tools to be a high level defender for sure. Athletic, quick, like I said, very lateral, can move laterally. I think that the jumper, especially from the 3-pointer, will be a work in progress. Now, listen, I hope that anybody who is, watching and keeping up with Bronny and the Lakers, don't expect to see minutes or him playing for the LA Lakers in year one. This is the reason why JJ Redick was even brought. The main reason why JJ Redick was brought to the LA Lakers, and same reason why they tried to get Dan Hurley, was the main word was development. Is he going to be able to develop Bronny? Can they develop guys like Max Christie, who just re-signed with them? Can they develop Austin and all those guys? So that's going to be, I think, of course, with now trying to win another championship, but developing the young guys, because what's been going on, as you see, as I segue into free agency, it's hard for a lot of these teams, the top tier teams, to move freely to enhance their teams through free agency because of the new CBA rules and the restrictions that if you're over the salary cap thresholds. So development is going to be key with teams like the Lakers, the Suns, now the Boston Celtics, even though they have their core. But teams like that, the Clippers, they're going to have to develop their young core in order to stay consistent throughout the next 3 to 5 years, as long as they have these stars on their team. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens over there in LA. Now, I love to see as a fan, I love seeing what Bronny and Bron being able to wear the same Lakers jersey. That's cool. There's also, I wish people would be able to understand it's okay to criticize. It's okay to have an opinion that may not be the same as somebody who, sees it a way of saying like, yeah, Bronny it will be good and things like that. There's going to be people that see it the other way. We're just talking about an analytical standpoint of seeing LeBron James Jr., watching him play in high school and college, and trying to really navigate what he can possibly be as a NBA basketball player. Because I can be the first person to say, and I think a lot of us agree, Pep, I think you too. I don't think he's ready at this moment. I do also understand, yes, he did go through the cardiac arrest episode, and he wasn't able to play until December in college. But even before that, I think that he had a lot of work to even do in high school. And I know he was All-American. I don't know necessarily about that class much. But, I think he had a lot of work to do. And I thought it would have been very pivotal for him to take this year of being a sophomore, regardless if that was transferring somewhere else or staying at USC, and really having a full-on season of, the summer of playing with a college team and going into workouts and then practicing a whole season of college basketball. I think that would have done wonders with him. But I understand the people who are saying, being around an NBA team, being around NBA trainers, learning that life and all that, it may be a quicker way to develop. What do you think about all this with Bronny and LeBron James and him going to LA Lakers?
Well, thank you for asking. I have a lot of thoughts. I'll try to make them as quick as I can. I actually kind of feel, I don't want to say I feel sorry for Bronny, but I feel that he's being rushed and it's not his fault. What was the significance of him coming out now as to opposed to next year when he could have had a further development at USC, probably playing more because he's no longer uninhibited with perhaps his heart issues. But I think he's being rushed because number one, his dad was a free agent. Had his dad not been a free agent this year, I think Bronny would have been able to stay in school for next year, right? So that is not Bronny's fault. And to me, that's kind of unfair. But they had to rush him out. He had to come out, right? And so, yeah, it was no surprise that the Lakers picked him. And, which was expected. And then, of course, on another side of this is when you say development. Well, is it fair to AD and some of the veterans that the Lakers, who are in position to at least be contenders, now they got to wait on some development of some youngsters, right?
That's a good point.
So, so of course, and then of course, LeBron's not signed. Look, we know it's a foregone conclusion, but there's some guys out there still. There's guys like DeMar DeRozan, right? And he's got to be their number one target because he's the best guy out there that's left, right? If you don't get DeRozan, who's from LA, by the way, if you don't get him, that free agent pool looks significantly shallow. You're going to be looking at guys like Sadiq Bey, who just was a free agent out of Detroit, and Detroit picked up Tobias Harris, who is, nobody's superstar or even thought of a all-star or good player, yet he's still an upgrade over Sadiq Bey. So that tells you, what does that tell you, right? Yeah. It's slim pickings, So, man, I feel bad for Bronny or LeBron Jr. Because none of this is his fault. It's just circumstance as far as when his father is a free agent, right? And now he's got to come out when he's definitely not ready, but he's got to come out. Now he's got to worry about developing, maybe go to the G League. I don't know. Or is he going to be on the big squad for the whole time and just sit in the pine the whole time? I don't know. And then, of course, who has more pressure than him? What player in the NBA has more pressure than Bronny this year?
Rookie?
Any. Seriously. If you think about it, who has more pressure than Bronny James right now? LeBron?
I think there's little pressure for the next 2 years, in my opinion. I think I get what you're saying because all eyes will be on.
What I mean is, okay, a pressure that he'll put on himself.
Yeah.
Because he's going to try to do everything he can to fast track. Because what's the main reason why they got him, right? So he can play with his dad.
Yeah, actually,
well, in order to play in the NBA with your dad, you have to be ready. You can't just be thrown out there.
Yeah.
Right? So he's going to have to really work and train and do everything he can to get out on the floor with his father, because they're not waiting until 2026 or 2027. It's a right now thing for that.
Yeah.
So, man, that's a lot of pressure.
Yeah. And, you make good points, Pepe. And I would have liked that too, for Bronny to be able to kind of control his own destiny. I think it would have been cool to see him not go to the Lakers and see him take his own path of where that goes and whatnot, not having to be under still his father to this day. And I get it. When you talk about Bronny, you're always going to talk about LeBron James. But now it's Bronny and playing with his dad and the LA Lakers, not just Bronny and whatever team he's playing for. But like I said, as a fan, that is really dope to see. And it's really cool that those guys will both be donning purple and yellow. Now, yes, free agency started Sunday night, 9 p.m. And boy, Pep, it's been pretty hectic. And you said a big name to start off this radio show, in Klay Thompson. And the reason why that name is so big is we're talking about one of the best teams ever assembled in the Golden State Warriors, and the run that they've made from 2014, 15 to now is soon coming to a close with one of the big three on the move today. Klay Thompson will be signing a 3-year, $50 million deal with the Dallas Mavericks. And this is something that has been kind of unfolding in front of our eyes, Pep, for a year now, for all season. Klay Thompson coming off 2 serious injuries, missed 2 years, came back the year they won a championship, pretty inconsistent. Last year was pretty inconsistent. And then this year was probably one of his worst years, in my opinion, that he's had in his career since being an all-star caliber player. And to me, Pep, you saw a lot of fight from him, like a lot of pushing and trying to show not just to his teammates, the coaching staff, the front office, and the world that I'm still that player. I think instead of buying in to maybe a lesser role and understanding where you are at in your career. And I think it took a toll definitely on the relationship he had with the Warriors, from Steve Kerr to the front office to his teammates. And I think around, in my opinion, January, February, this was inevitable. When he started coming off the bench, I think that this was inevitable that this was going to happen. And, it's sad to see from just a fan standpoint because, like I said, you're talking about one of the best teams that's ever assembled. And it just hates that it has to end ugly, I wish it would have been amicably and, them being able to come to sides. And I get it. I think Klay's looking at how Jordan Poole got paid, Andrew Wiggins got paid. Draymond Green got a $100 million contract again. And so now it comes to Klay, and I think the rumor was that they offered him a 2-year extension. I think it was like $49 million, something like that. And he's just throwing his hands up in there like, where's the loyalty to me? I've been just as big as a part of this over more than all those guys that you just named outside of Draymond Green. And I think it was hard for him to sit back and just look at his play as well. I understand where the Warriors are coming from. I understand where Klay Thompson's coming from. It's just so tough, like I said, in this new era of the CBA of wanting to overplay, especially older veteran players. For instance, the Suns are just so strapped on what they can do right now because they're playing 3 players $50 million each. And teams are seeing that now.
Yeah, and you know what? Those 3 guys barely play together. That's the problem with some of these decisions that GMs make is they get guys together that can't stay on the floor.
I also think a problem is, though, too, Pep, some of these guys that are making that $50 million plus, they're 35, 36, 37 years old. Yeah, at the end of the day, yes, science is definitely improved, and guys have been able to stretch out their careers longer, play at a higher level longer. But still, you're seeing it there, just like you said, bodies still break down. Father Time is undefeated at the end of the day. So as much as we like to say, Bron is playing into his 40s and whatnot, we've seen the injuries coming in, and it's happening. Klay Thompson, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, James Harden, actually been all right, but he's had injuries. Kevin Durant. So I think a lot of these front office are kind of, they're really hesitant on paying some of these guys. But for the Dallas Mavericks, they get something that they needed, a real knockdown shooter.
But here's the thing. Oh, sorry to interrupt. With as far as the Mavericks are concerned, yes, they got exactly the guy they need in Klay Thompson. However, they're getting a 2024-25 Klay Thompson when they need a 2018-2019 Klay Thompson. Now, whether they're going to get something similar to that, it remains to be seen.
Agreed. And I think, though, just like with the Warriors, just what Klay does on the floor, though, you have to be honest. And it just stretches, it opens up everything for Klay or Kyrie and Luka even more. So I do agree with you. And, maybe the change of scenery does help. I don't think we'll ever see, that old Klay Thompson. I think we just want to see more consistency in shot making. For sure.
Exactly.
And if they can get that, then boy, oh boy, in my opinion, as of today, they are the favorite to come out the Western Conference. I agree. I would think. But they got their piece. And, the other big piece was Paul George. Like I said, everything that I'm explaining kind of about Klay Thompson, kind of went in question with Paul George coming into the season. They offered him a 3-year extension. He wanted 4. But with also understanding, James Harden only signed a 2-year deal. Kawhi Leonard only signed a 3-year deal. So guys took less. And I hear that, Paul George was kind of he was surprised by the extension from Kawhi. He didn't know that was happening. And it just seemed like there was another rip. And front office for the Clippers was not budging on only giving him 3 years. It wasn't the whole go find me 4 years or anything. Over these last week, they have tried their hardest to convince Paul George to stay here and take this money that we have for you.
How old is Paul George?
Paul George is, my guess is 33, 34, something like that.
I thought he was older, but you could be right. These guys, here's the thing. A lot of these players, they say, oh, I want 4 years, but you're 36.
Exactly.
We're not paying you till you're 40, bro. I mean, they don't look, he's
34.
They don't see themselves as getting old or whatever the case may be. They still see themselves as who they are. I'm Paul George and I can ball, right? So pay me and I want to be here for 4 years. Yeah, okay, when you're 27, but when you're 34, 35, I'm not giving you 4 years. And they know that. A lot of them know this, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's their way of saying, well, I want 4 years. In other words, I want out of here.
And I agree.
They know they're not getting that.
Yeah, because now you're telling me Paul George at 38 years old will be making $60 million.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And now you have Joel Embiid locked into a contract. You just gave Tyrese Maxey a max extension. The salary cap is all gone now. This is what you're building around.
And now what Daryl Morey has done in Philly is he has signed his death knell because he will not last Paul George's contract if they don't win something. If this is it, the process is over. Like if Joel Embiid, Paul George, Maxey, and company don't win a finals, it's all over for that guy.
Now, Pep, I want to ask you something before the break. Paul George. So Paul George was traded to the LA Clippers for what's his name?
Shai
Gilgeous-Alexander and a bevy of picks. One turned out to be Jalen Williams.
Mm-hmm.
He's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like you were more inclined, knowing that you gave up so much to get Paul George, to maybe start to open up on that 4th year? Or are you okay with knowing that you lost Paul George now, only one Western Conference Finals to show for it, couple second-round playoff loss, no playoff, didn't make the playoffs 1 year, and a first-round exit last year?
Man, you make a great point because, see, what GMs are doing now is they're backing themselves in the corner, and that's what the Clippers did, right? So they gave up all that for Paul George, and then now they want to turn around and say, well, Paul, we're not giving you an extra 4 years. Then what'd you bring me here for?
And then got nothing back for him. After losing everything, you didn't even look to try to really sign and trade for him. And I feel like just losing all of that, especially starting at SGA and all the picks that you still are on the books for, I think until 2027, I believe. You would have thought. I thought you would have thought that maybe you sign and trade and try to get something back for him. That's just bad management.
There it is.
Part, and we're seeing a lot of it.
A lot.
So yeah. I don't know. You want to go to break now?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Lead us take us to break.
Yeah, we're going to be right back. There's definitely more free agency news on the way. I know we'll get into some Mariners that Pep is hating right now. Wimbledon started and more. So definitely don't touch that dial.
This is Paul Pearson, host of Star Time. And when I'm not translating the lyrics of Boogie Oogie Oogie for bored Europeans, I'm listening to Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
Stay safe in the heat this summer. On hot days, more people have serious health issues like heat stroke, heart problem, and kidney failure. People who are pregnant, older adults, children, and outdoor workers are more at risk. Certain medications and health conditions like diabetes can make it harder to cope with heat. Check with your healthcare provider. Stay cool, drink plenty of water, and take breaks from the heat, especially if you work outdoors. A message from Public Health, Seattle, and King County.
Tune in to Real Estate and Money every Tuesday afternoon from 2:30 to 3 here on Rainier Avenue Radio.world. Join your hosts Violetta Strash with John L. Scott Kent North and Tina Lombard with Guaranteed Rate Affinity. They'll help you navigate the waters of our volatile real estate market and offer you some guidance on how to make your hard-earned money work to make your dreams come true. Learn about current trends, get tips on financial matters, and have fun, interactive discussions about your home inside and out. That's Real Estate and Money.
Hi, I'm Paul Pearson of StarTime. Did you know that back in the 9th century, Rainier Avenue Radio was the host of the first annual Gregorian chant-off? Man, that was tight. Well, times have changed and so have we. Now you can hear all the great Rainier Avenue radio shows on our mobile app for Android and iPhone. It's completely free on the Google Play Store and the iPhone App Store. The Rainier Avenue Radio App.
Hello, listener. What's important to you about what's going on in your community? Are you interested? Are you concerned? In any case, I invite you to tune into my show, Seattle Here and Now, on Rainier Avenue Radio.world. Why? I will be covering a wide range of topics important to you and impacting the community. Each show will have a special guest or guests to share with you information on a variety of subjects that are happening here and now in Seattle. I promise I will work hard to make my show informative, interesting, and entertaining. Be sure to listen to Seattle Here and Now on Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
Support for Rainier Avenue Radio comes from Friends of Waterfront Park, announcing their 2024 season of free events and programs at Pier 62, the first part of Seattle's premier downtown waterfront park to open to the public. Come for free events and programs, including fitness and wellness classes throughout the summer, weekly spotlight performances on Thursday evenings, cultural festivals, daily amenities, games, and more. To learn more, go to waterfrontparkseattle.org.
Yo, Rainier Avenue Radio. With Seattle's best music, talk, and sports.
Welcome back, everybody, to LidLine Sports right here on Rainier Avenue Radio.world. Shout outs go to Nancy Conyers, Bill Walker Jr., MC Michael Carter, Rhonda Dorsey, my man Andrew Schroeder. I'm with you, brother. I'm ready for football. Man, I got some stuff for you guys coming up in the next few weeks to next month. Next month, I'm actually going to probably mid-August, mid to late August, I am going to preview potential frauds.
Yes, sir.
So look out for that. Yes. yeah. So I'm going to be previewing potential frauds in the NFL. It's usually hard to do it, kind of, when the season starts because, everybody starts with a clean slate. So I'm just going to I'm going to look at some NFL rosters. I'm going to, check out some preseason games. And then I'm going to say, you know what? This team, look for them to be a fraud, blah, blah, blah. So look out for that. We were in the middle of, towards the tail end, rather, of talking about NBA free agency. What other news do you have for us?
The other big news was Mikal Bridges was traded to the New York Knicks.
Yes, trades, correct.
Now we got by the way. Yeah.
Even though I'm a Brooklyn Nets fan, I still kind of like, I still like the Knicks. And, and I love Brunson. I mean, I really, really like that guy. So whatever they can do to get up there, I'm all for it.
Yeah. They're trying to match up well with the Boston Celtics, and they have a bevy now of wings. starting with that we signed OG on Iwobi. So him, Michael Bridges will be the two tandems.
And he's their last piece to having that Villanova group together, right?
Yeah, it's the Villanova Knicks now. So they're all. It's crazy how they were able to all get together on the NBA team. You know how hard that is, Pep. Play together,
impossible
in college, win a championship together, and then go your separate ways. Come to NBA to even have 4 NBA players, and then find your way back on a team and all playing at high levels is beyond crazy. That I don't think we will see that again in our lifetime. I don't think so.
Yeah.
So that is really cool to see. And then Chris Paul doing what he does, wanting to help out the youth. He gets waived by the Warriors and ends up with the San Antonio Spurs. And I agree with you. I like it. I love the fight that Chris Paul has. I love that he still feels like he has a lot to give to the game at a high level.
Is he going to be a coach when he's done?
You know what? It's funny. I thought about that too. I could not be surprised if Chris Paul and Greg Popovich sat down speaking on that in terms as well of, if this does work out over the next couple of years and when you retire, there's a seat open for you. I can see that for sure. And we all know that if there's a player right now who would be a really good head coach, Chris Paul would probably get the most votes as a player. So I could definitely see that possibly happen.
Him or Rondo.
Yeah, or Rondo. Derrick Jones Jr., who definitely upped his value in the playoffs. He was leaving the Dallas Mavericks. He's going to the LA Clippers, so he will fill in the shoes of Paul George. And then the other, kind of big news is how the Lakers have not done anything. We know you brought it up, Pep. We talked about how they tried to get Clay, even starting them trying to get Dan Hurley. Now we're hearing DeMar DeRozan. And now the question is Rob Pelinka not good at selling the Lakers and getting pieces via free agency, which this has never been an issue for the Lakers. When we've heard big names going in free agency, the Lakers are always in that top 3 for those big names, always. And now,
because it's a coveted area, the city of Los Angeles, I mean, need I say more? Hollywood, all that. I mean, the opportunities are endless in La La Land, and it's nothing to be able to recruit a star player to come to LA. It's not a hard thing to do. But apparently now, is it because of the fact that they've hired a coach that has 0 experience, the fact that they know they're in a position of development, and they know the fact that LeBron James is actually the one that's the one pulling the string? So you got to figure, some of these players, they're not trying to be involved in all that, right? They don't want to get with that. They're not. This generation is different, right?
I agree.
Yeah, and so they're not looking for that, and then they're not trying to be under LeBron's thumb. Yeah,
that's the point.
What it would be.
That's the point I was going to make. I think a lot of these players, especially superstar caliber players, they saw what happened in Miami. They saw what happened in Cleveland with those other guys coming to play with LeBron. And, the roles kind of, took a hit. And, they became different players after that. I also think they look and see LeBron James is 39 years old. It's not like this is 30-year-old or 28-year-old LeBron James that they're coming to play with.
You hit
this
it
is
right
38.
there.
So, people are saying with the Clay situation, Luka Doncic, 39-year-old LeBron James.
Yeah, Luka.
That's kind of really not much thought to put into. But like you said, you can't just keep trying to sell the city and Hollywood. These guys are looking past that now. A lot of these schools or a lot of these players are going to the smaller markets because of the fit, because the money is there as well. The Lakers don't have the money right now as well, too. So a lot of people are putting it on Rob Pelinka. I think via trade, he's doing a good job. Free agency is just a different game now. It's not how it used to be. And so, but I get it from a LA Lakers fan standpoint, which I call delusional fans, that, they just think that once players become free agents still in this era that they're just going to run to LA, and it's just not that anymore. I think LeBron James was last of that because even remember, Anthony Davis was in trade. He wasn't in free agency. So
yes.
And then another one I wanted to, before we move on, Kevin Porter Jr.
Yes.
Who was
Clippers.
Found himself in a domestic situation during the season last year. Was waived by the traded to OKC, then waived. Took his time, went overseas, and I think he had to take an anger management class from his case. Looks like he's about to complete that, and he's signing a deal with the LA Clippers, a 2-year deal. Now we know the connection there. Steve Ballmer's from Seattle. I'm pretty sure he kept tabs, and the front office kept tabs on Kevin Porter. And I'm glad he's getting another chance. And
Me too.
I'm hoping that, he can really take advantage of this, because he is a really good player. And we know he's a good player, Pep, because he went day one of free agency. This is not something that dragged along. I think that this was something that was been put in the works over the last couple of weeks, because he is a good player. And I do think he is a good kid. Hopefully he can get some real vets around him, that steer him out of trouble. And, I'm really excited to see him learn under Kawhi Leonard, Ty Lue, who we know is a no-nonsense coach. So I want to definitely give him a shout out as well. Besides that, though, Pep, a lot of players been returning to their teams. Jason Tatum signed the biggest NBA contract in NBA history. So the Boston Celtics are all in right now on their core. Everybody who was a part of that championship team, besides I think Al Horford, is on long-term deals now, moving forward. And their window, they know the window is open for at least the next 5 years, and they're going to try to compete for as many championships as they can right now. And then
I got a name for you that's of interest of up here, Pacific Northwest. Zach LaVine. What's going on with that?
Yeah, man, I'm not hearing really great things, Pep. When in search of the Bulls want to get rid of him, but the problem is teams do not want to take on the salary that's attached to him. Yeah, I've heard so much as to even hearing that the Bulls have even had to attach draft compensation to try to intrigue teams, and teams have still not been confident enough to bite the bullet on Zach, who, yes, he's been hurt a lot. He hasn't won. Is he a winner? Is he really an all-star caliber player? Does the money that he has attached to him, is he worth that? My thing I want to say is a lot of people have questioned Zach as loving the game. To what I've known about him, that's never should have been in question. The man lives in the gym, and he's been like that ever since he was a kid. I think for me, finding the right situation for him is very big, and him also buying into a role. Maybe you're not the star player on a championship team. Maybe you are the second or third option on a really good team. And that's okay, because those guys still get paid. Some of them still make all-star games, and you're put in a better overall situation. And if I'm him, I definitely want to get out of the Chicago Bulls, because there's nothing going on there. DeMar DeRozan will probably be gone too. But yeah, I am a little confused why some teams are questionable on getting on. The team that I am hearing that is the most interested is Sacramento. They're also interested in Brandon Ingram and Kyle Kuzma as well. So I think Zach will get moved, but I don't think it'll be anytime soon. But I do think it will happen before the season starts.
Well, here's the deal with Zach. When he was with Minnesota, he was a young player. All the kinds of potential which he actually has reached. He was very good. But the problem is Minnesota's a terrible team. He's probably one of the top 2-3 players on a terrible team. And for anybody, that's a hard thing to deal with. Eventually, he got moved to Chicago. Once again, Chicago has been a subpar to mediocre. They did make the playoffs and got quickly bounced out, but they're pretty much a mediocre team. So he's been on his situation hasn't been good for him as far as being on a good team. I would love to see what he would be like on a Sacramento, who's a good team, Indiana, who's a good team, maybe an up-and-coming San Antonio team, what he could be there, or before they got Clay, a Mavericks team, because the guy can light it up. We know this. Problem is he can't stay healthy. He's got an ankle that's always hurt, and that's a shame because the guy has all kinds of talent, right? We know this, from those that are based up here in the Pacific Northwest. We know him. We know Baby Boy. We know that guys like that are just outstanding. Kevin Porter Jr., right? We know those guys can flat out play. It's opportunity that a lot of them haven't had as far as being on a decent team. Like Murray himself, he's been on a San Antonio team that was always perennially bad or mediocre. He moves over to Atlanta. Atlanta made the playoffs, but they've always been on the downside mediocre, right? And they get to the playoffs and get bounced right out, so they've been pretty much the smartest kid in special ed class, right? As far as those teams are concerned. So now where, he's going to New Orleans, DeJounte Murray is.
Yep. He's in a good situation now.
He's in a good situation. However, they're going to have some moves that they're going to be making because we don't know what's going on with Brandon Ingram, right? They've got some stuff, and they've got CJ McCollum. Maybe, he might have to move. I don't know. I'm just saying that there's some things that they need to tweak themselves. So they're not an upper echelon playoff team. They're not a terrible team either. So they're probably middle of the pack. Come size whether they make the playoffs or not, though. And that's the problem with some of these guys. They keep being on those same type of teams. I wish, because I had wished that the New Orleans Pelicans went after DeJounte Murray at the trade deadline, which they did. I wish they were successful in getting him. I wish that they brought back Valanciunas, and I wish that I understand that Brandon Ingram, he has 1 year left on his deal. He's looking for a max extension. The Pelicans are hesitant on giving that to him. I do hope at least this year they go with that nucleus. Because, Pep, when they're healthy, big question, when they're healthy, the last 2 years when they were healthy, they were a top 4 team in the West before they got hurt. Yes.
So I do think I put them healthy in that same echelon as the OKC Thunder, in my opinion. I think they're just as talented as those guys and young as those guys, even with CJ. And I know I'm with you. I think there's somebody who should go, and it is him. But I'm also okay with now you got DeJounte and you didn't get rid of CJ. Just take this nucleus and see what you can make out of it. Because you have enough young guys, even without Brandon Ingram, to still make things happen.
I like it, but the leash is going to be real short, right? Because come February and they're still acting wishy-washy, mediocre, 2 weeks good, 3 weeks not so good, then they're going to really have to make a decision in February. Man, thank you. The NBA segment was awesome.
Yes, sir.
Let's get into some baseball real quick with of course, I want to shout out my New York Yankees. Have been struggling. They've been 2-8 the last 10. So they've been kind of struggling. But of course, you guys don't want to hear about the Yankees, do you? No. You want to hear about the Seattle Mariners, and they're still marinering because they had a disaster of a road trip. And I do call it a disaster. They won only 1/3 of their games, 3 out of the 9. But losing to Cleveland, which is okay, that's not nothing to be ashamed of. Cleveland's got the best record in the American League, or tied or close to it anyway. But you can't lose a series to the Florida or the Miami Marlins or the Tampa Bay Rays when they're both down and out. You just can't do it. And they did it. Then you come home and lose 2 out of 3 to Minnesota. And Minnesota's been good, but come on, man. You're at home now. You got to take care of business. And you've been taking care of business. They've been one of the better home teams in all of baseball, actually. But Minnesota came in here and had none of that.
I saw this coming, Pep. I saw this coming. When I knew that they were going back on the road and that first series was against Miami, I knew it. I could see after they've been playing so well, I knew that the comfort was going to sit in. I think they won the first game. No,
they won the second game.
Yes, and the way they lost the first game with no runs putting up,
ridiculous.
coming up 9-0 and then turning around and giving up. The bullpen gives up runs against the Marlins. I saw it coming. And but with that Marlins and Rays series is what the issue is with the team. Offense.
Yeah.
Win series, the Rays series, they did not score any more than 3 runs.
Except for that one time. But yeah, it's ridiculous, man. And you know what? It's wash, rinse, repeat over and over and over. What's our main complaint? They can't hit. It reminds me of Ferris Bueller's day off. He can't hit, he can't hit, he can't hit. Man, over and over, he can't hit. Mitch Garver, every time he comes up, you might as well. I was like, oh, out. And sure enough, out. Julio comes up in a big spot, out, right? Or he might walk. And then Cal Raleigh comes up, and you can't depend on Cal Raleigh every freaking time.
Yeah.
Right? Come on. Geez, somebody else do something.
And guess what? The Houston Astros, who are playing really good baseball right now, 9-1 the last 10, 3 games behind.
2 Mondays ago, what we were talking about.
5. We said that they were coming.
Yeah, there's 10 games up. Yeah, we're rolling.
And I know I'm not the biggest baseball guru, Pep, but it's fun talking baseball with you because we both know the sport a little bit. We've said this from even when the Houston Astros was playing bad. If there was any team in this conference you do not sleep on, is the Houston Astros. And we are now first week in July, they're here.
And you know how I know Houston is really on a tear now? They went to New York where the Mets were red hot, blazing. Yep. They were blowing everybody out. Houston came in and calmed all that down.
Yep.
So, and then now they won today, 3-1 against Toronto on the road. So now they're 3 games out. So 2 weeks ago they were 10 out. Now they're 3 out. And listen, this is July 1st. I do not think the Mariners are going to be in first place by July 31st. They'll be fortunate if they're not in third place because the Rangers have been trash, but the Rangers have won the last couple of games, so they might be riding their ship, and that's bad news, right? So, by the end of July, they could be in third place.
My problem, Pep, is I don't see an avenue for the Mariners making the playoffs if they don't win the AL West.
No, heck no.
The AL East is still too good. The AL Central has now been really good with the Kansas City Royals and the Minnesota Twins, like you said earlier. Mm-hmm. I don't see a path with how the Mariners are playing. They have to win the AL West. They have to. Because right now, Houston is 5th in the wild card in the American League. So it's just
but once they overtake the Mariners, they'll leapfrog all that.
But this is why, though, with me and you, Pep, we never got too high or too low with the Mariners play. Even when they did go on a tear, we both talked about still the deficiencies were still very eye popping, and when they lose, it is glaring, and it is the reason why they're going to be in the situation that they have been in for the last 2 years of fighting to make the playoffs. And it starts to get frustrating again because, like I said, I have friends around me who are Mariners fans, and they're delusional. I hate it. I hate using that word as a fan. They're delusional. Like they're one of those thick and thin through Mariners, which me and you are both big-time Mariners fans. We also been through really large droughts, and we also saw when they were really good. Mm-hmm. So there's nothing that you can tell me about how the Mariners could win 10 games straight, and there's nothing that you can tell me that will excite me until I know what good baseball looks like. Yeah, and the Mariners show flashes of. You can't just show flashes of being a good baseball team and be inconsistent the rest of the season. That's not a team that is looking to win a World Series.
Yeah, Mariners, they depend too much on their pitching, right? I mean, your pitching is going to be good, but there are going to be days where they're not good. Mm-hmm. So you have to support them, right? Like if Castillo, he ticks me off, but I'll have to give him credit. He'll give up an early run, but then he'll shut it down. for the rest of the game. And by the time they get to the bullpen, he's down 2-1 or 1-1 or, you know, something like that. So that's fair. That's okay. That's what you got him for. You know, I'd like to have him take leads, you know, when he's going into the dugout. But that's not his fault. He can't pitch and bat, right? So it's just frustrating that it's the same old, good pitching, terrible hitting. And then when they do hit, the pitching sucks. A lot of times. Like they might win a game 9-8, right? But those are few and far. So usually if the other team gets 8 runs, Mariners are going to lose.
Or just like
man, go ahead.
Just like with when Luis Castillo pitched yesterday. I mean, he did okay, but it didn't matter because the bullpen, who has been inconsistent, came in and gave up runs. That's why you can't just rely on just pitching to win games consistently.
No, you gotta give them some offense, man.
You have to.
You gotta contribute, man. These guys aren't doing it. Everybody's batting below 270 or whatever. Everybody.
Yeah,
everybody, right? Nobody has close to, you know, like you would like to think that 1 or 2 guys could flirt with 280 to 300. No, not this team.
Nope.
You know, you got guys that can't hit home runs. Who got the most? Cal Raleigh, he's got 13.
Yeah.
All right. Man, Julio's got 7. And he don't even have 30 RBIs.
Yeah.
You know how many Teoscar has? Just to, you know, for the Dodgers.
How many?
Teoscar's got 18 home runs, 50 some odd RBIs. He's only batting 248, but that's what you could get when you're batting 248. At least the reward is high.
Yeah.
We're getting low reward and no reward with Julio and Mitch Garver. And, you know, I can name a bunch of other guys. But, you know, look, Julio is the so-called superstar. So that's why the wrath is on him. You know, he's got to be able to take it.
I want to be the first to apologize to Teoscar because I was one of the people who did not want to bring him back on $20 million plus, but I wish we would have because we can't find bats to save.
Here's what we're finding out. We're finding out when you don't have protection in the lineup, you're going to struggle.
Yeah.
Teoscar was up here. He struggled because he didn't have no protection.
Yeah.
He goes down to L.A. Man, ain't nothing but protection.
So
they have to pitch to him. And so what does he do? He makes them pay. He doesn't hit for average, but he hits for payoff.
Yep.
And that's what the Mariners do not have. They don't have a guy that can hit for average, and they don't have a guy that can hit for payoff. What do they have? Nothing.
Will you be surprised by All-Star break if the Mariners are not in first place in the AL West?
No, I don't expect them to be. By mid-July, I expect that those hands will be changed over to the Astros. And the Astros will keep that through the rest of the season. They ain't giving it up. Once they take the lead, it's over. You can book that. I guarantee it. I'll Charles Barkley all of that. I'm telling you right now. And if the Mariners don't watch out, the Rangers will catch them too. And they'll end up in third.
And for all of our people listening, we are Mariners fans. We're just keeping it real.
We're just tired of it.
Yeah.
That's it, bro. We're just tired of the same old crap. They get you all worked up and excited, and then what happens? They, you know, it's like what's that ride over in Disneyland where the Tower of Terror? There's the Tower of Terror. They take you all the way up, and then they drop you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the only thing. That's the best way I can describe them.
Hey, like I told you, Pep, it's just hard these days to get excited for Mariners. Like I said, it's only fun to go to games, but outside of that, it's hard to try to, on a day-to-day, to really be excited about being a Mariners fan. And even through the good, like you know this part is coming. So I don't know. Like I said, I'm gonna hope. Now it's not, like I said, I'm not sure we're making the playoffs. And now I'm back to just hoping and praying that we find a way to make one little last push and keep ourselves at least in shooter's distance. Because as of right now, we're trending towards, you're right. We're going to be right down there with Texas, and Houston's just going to be looking below us and just keep scooting along, and they'll be winning the AL West by 7-8 games.
Yeah,
So,
and I'm gonna tell you right now. I'm gonna say this right now. If they don't get Vlad Guerrero or somebody of that ilk, they can forget it. And if when Houston takes that lead here in mid-July, it's over. So count it, book it. So that's all the time we have, everyone. Thank you for listening. Sorry for the for the rant, but that's the way it goes in Mariner land. But we'll be back next week for more sports right here on LidLine Sports, Rainier Avenue Radio.world. Holla.